we go. Another special guest here on the Vital Wire. I'm Dr. Dustin, here with Dr. Lindsay as usual. This is the Vital Wire. Angie Harness.
Dustin Boston.
So great.
Dr. Dustin Boston.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Super excited to have you here with us today on the Vital Wire. We've known you for quite some time personally, but we just kind of want to introduce St. Charles County, Cottleville area. The whole purpose of this is just expose small businesses, local people in the area to what it is they do and just be a platform for anybody who wants to be on here. So let's just start with, what's your creation story? How did Angie Harness get from where she was, childhood, however far back you want to go, to sitting in this seat today? How did you get here? What do you do?
So, well, I'm in real estate. I'm a residential realtor. And how I got there was a long journey, but I'd worked in the service industry most of my life. In the 90s, I spent a few years working in a residential treatment facility with juvenile sex offenders.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy, and learned a lot. Working and doing that kind of work you have to go very internal when you're working with a population like that, because you really gain a lot of clarity around cause and effect in terms of how your behavior, your approach affects outcomes. And I learned a lot about myself during that, because that's the only way you can be good at the job.
And this also, jumping ahead, this also carries into something that you deal with today.
100%.
So I haven't heard most of this, but so continue.
Yeah, so just active listening skills. So I was trained, Cornell University developed a program called, now I can't think of the acronym, I can't think of it. It's been so long ago. But anyway, I was a trainer in this program, and it was basically verbal de-escalation and also sometimes physical de-escalation, safe physical de-escalation, but you always want to avoid that. So those skills definitely help me today in just terms of being able to, if someone's upset, if they're just being in tune what's going on with people and being able to kind of take a step back, not get emotionally involved with them, but help them process through things in a way that is productive. And so fast forward to today, years later, I was in the bar business, managed a bar downtown Champaign. That's where I met the love of my life, Mr. Tony Harness. And he was working here in the area for an engineering firm, and we got married. And long story short, I wanted to live with him full time, and because I like him. And so we moved here to Missouri in 2012. I think that's the right year. And I had decided prior to that, when we moved here, I wanted to get into real estate. I didn't want to be staying up till, bar closes at 2 and you're there till 4 a.m. I don't really.
At some point in time, you want to transition from the 2 o'clock in the mornings to like the 10 o'clock at night?
Or 9.
Or 9.
Yeah, I get up at the time I used to go to bed, so I'm not,
no joke.
It's too old for that. So I knew that I wanted to get into real estate, and the reason I wanted to get into real estate is because I love the idea of my success being 100% on my own head. That is,
that's good.
I do not like, I don't like limits, and if you're working for someone else, there's limits, and I'm not okay with that.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, and everywhere I've ever worked, people would are you the owner? Like, no, I'm not the owner, but apparently I act bossy enough that people think I am.
There's something inside if somebody asks you that though, there's something inside you that goes like, yes. Okay.
A little bit.
So where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Danville, Illinois. I don't recommend going there. It was a nice community at one point, but there was a lot of industry there.
No real estate action worth taking. No.
You could pick up some deals,
yeah,
that's for sure. I just don't know how much they're going to grow. Yeah, I grew up in Danville, Illinois, and I was born in Portland, Oregon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. but we moved to Illinois. My dad worked for Heister Company. We moved to Illinois when I was 4.
I don't think I knew that. I've known you for like 5 or 6 years now, so I don't really think I knew that.
Yeah, yep. Born in Portland, beautiful, beautiful state.
Yeah.
So yeah, moved to Danville. Met my ex-husband, and we were married for 8 years. Had my beautiful daughter Crystal, and she is now married to my wonderful son-in-law Curtis, who is stationed in Diego Garcia right now for 2 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's a Navy corpsman, and he's running I think he's actually running a hospital over there or something. I know he's doing something medical, something
important.
Something important, and he's gone for a long time away from his family and my 3 grandchildren, which makes me a little emotional. But yeah, fortunately they can get on FaceTime and see each other at least virtually daily, which is wonderful. I mean, technology is amazing that way. It's not like back, imagine people back, 30, 40 years ago, snail mail and maybe a phone call if you're lucky. So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a lot different today. So, yeah.
So, Oregon to Danville, Illinois, which we don't recommend necessarily.
No.
And now St. Charles County, O'Fallon, Wentzville, Forestell area is your stomping grounds now.
Yep. I live in Wentzville. I love it. It's a great community. Highly recommend it. And I love St. Charles County. I mean, I just think we're in a wonderful community of people. This is, I'm proud to call Missouri my home. And when my husband and I moved here and I got my real estate license, I had it in my head for whatever reason, and no offense to anybody who doesn't think this way, but I felt like if I was going to sell real estate and being new to this area, I need to become involved in my community, in my opinion. And this is just my personal thing. I didn't feel I had the right to sell houses if I wasn't going to be involved in my community. So I joined the chamber out of the gate, became involved with the Child Advocacy Center, which that's like my passion.
Yeah. My
passion, and I serve on the board there. And this community has been very welcoming. So I can't, I think not every community is like that, where you come in as an outsider and feel welcome. And I feel like, and I think you, Dr. Lindsay, have had the same experience because you're coming here from Illinois as well. So.
Very recently.
Yeah. I said we did the witches in Cottleville over the weekend, and I said, we've lived in the area that we've been in, and we've done events over there, and I loved it, but never did we have the same warmth in the community as we did just on Saturday night alone. People coming up to me, hugging me, that knew me from being out and networking and in the community, and asking if I was by myself for a moment, do you need me to get you a water? Do you need me to sit at your table so you can go to the bathroom? Like, just such kind people, and it was very, very
That's
awesome.
one thing I love about you, though, Angie, is that you were treated thusly, and now you treat the same way. So you moved to St. Charles County, everything that you just said, the welcoming factor and what you enjoyed about it. What's cool to see is that you could have very well just have taken that in stride and, oh, this is so great, and moved on throughout your life, your business and everything else. But what's so cool is you are the person that also now gives that experience to people like myself. You helped us move from Baldwin after we graduated school to Darden Prairie.
Condo.
Yeah. You had our cute little condo.
On Chatelaine Walk.
Chatelaine Walk.
I remember.
Yes. That's where we also birthed our first child, was in that condo. So a lot of blessings there. But you took us from there, moved us to Darden Prairie. We're in the act of doing more, but you've been with us the whole entire way, and we're a part of that welcoming factor that you're now experiencing. Yeah. So I just love that about you. It says a lot about your nature, and just what you said at the beginning of that conversation too, is you didn't feel like you had the right to sell without being in this community. If this is where you want to sell into, and you're very much a part of that, which is super cool. And with the Child Advocacy Center, it's like anybody that we talk to, we can always say, oh yeah, do you know Angie Harness? Oh, I love Angie Harness. Like, I'm telling you.
I know Angie.
It happens all the time. And that's
too funny.
What we love about you, because there has never been anybody that hasn't lit up when we mention your name. And so it's super cool to have you on here. Well, you're doing it right. And that's some things that we want to expose. There's different ways to go about life. Like you said, no disrespect to people who do it in such a way, but here's how we do it. Here's who we align with, and having you on here is super cool to be able to bring full circle. But right now, I guess we can talk a little bit about real estate. We don't have to talk about the market or anything, but one thing I think that I want to know is what, from a real estate agent's perspective, what are maybe some of the common stressors you go through, just as a broad statement, like, having to navigate this is usually a speed bump for me. What's some of the details, like, as a real estate agent that people might not know, not necessarily market bound?
Oh, so like for me, like my experience.
It's like, man, I always have to deal with like 26. You guys don't realize I have to deal with 26 pieces of paper anytime I have a client come to me to even start working with them. Like, what's some of the details?
Yeah, well, people don't realize there's like, I think they say there's like something like 147, don't quote me on the number, jobs in a real estate, in every that we do. Probably the biggest stressor is when things don't go right for my clients. I mean, that really, like, I want things to go well. Right now I have some clients, we put a great offer on a property in Ellisville yesterday, and the agent, I always date the agents, when I don't mean that like literally date them, but when I'm trying to sell myself, I'm trying to sell my clients, I'm trying to make sure we're giving the best offer, and like, you want to work with us, always any angle that to try to help them win is what we're trying to do. Submitted a fantastic offer, and she's texting me, she's like, yeah, unless they're going to drop appraisal and financing contingency, I don't think they have a shot. And I'm like, yeah, they're not doing that. Not in this market, because the market's going down, and I would not feel confident in their investment for them to do that now. 6 months ago, maybe a different conversation, but we're not in that market today.
So job number one, consulting.
100%. Yeah. Consult
on many different matters, but this being one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're, they really love it, and I already made them aware it's a long shot. They know that. I prepared them for that, but it's hard. It's hard when you see. And I always try to tell people, please don't fall in love with it until we're closing. But it's still hard. Yeah. It's still hard. When you walk into a home and you emotionally, like, you feel it, you love it, that's challenging. So, so when things don't go right, that...
For some reason, I always think on the selling side. Like, I always think of like, I sometimes forget that there's a buyer side to this that you play too. Because the first thing when you said, there's like 147 different jobs we play. I'm thinking like, like consulting on the market, to the scenario of the contractor, what the other buyer's wanting, landscaper, home design, like interior designer.
Staging, yeah. Therapist sometimes, yeah. I mean, so to the selling side, I had a client recently.
Marriage counselor.
Sometimes.
She's looking over at me.
You know what? Here's the deal. Sometimes though, you have couples, and sometimes they're not on the same page, and I just remind them that it's okay, guys. We're gonna, I just try to reassure them and help them be on the same page. And
some of us have the Joanna Gaines style without the Chip Gaines to back that up.
100%. So
a much smaller budget.
It's a big deal. We don't want people. We want you to be happy about the next move. We don't want you fighting about it. So we try to
leave that to when you're packing boxes and assembling IKEA furniture.
Right. Just hire somebody. We want to bridge those gaps for sure. No, I had a client. I guess it's been a couple months, and I showed up at her house with. I have a lot of decor that I've purchased over the years because I've learned from my staging consultant company that I hired to help stage a house. And so just one thing my clients don't have to do, right? So I show up at her house with all car full of stuff. The photographer's going to be there in an hour, and I'm thinking I'm just going to go set up my little vignettes, and the photographer's going to show up, and it's going to look all pretty. House is not ready. House is not anywhere near ready. House is like a day away from being ready with a team there getting it ready. Like not. And she's a lovely woman, but a lot on her plate, right? A lot on her plate. And don't anybody call me expecting this. This is not a normal thing that I did.
This is not in the package.
This is not normal. I'm actually going to create a package for this, but it's going to look a little different. So I had to reschedule the photo shoot for the next day. I called a couple people that sometimes help me out. They met me there the next day, like 8 a.m., and we did all the things, got it ready, and the photographer got there at like 1, and I'm like, okay, I need you to start at the bedrooms and work your way this way. because we still were like,
you're trying to get ahead of them.
But we got it done, got it sold, got a good deal on, good price on it, and it worked out. But it was it was a lot.
This
of work.
wasn't my house.
It was not. No, it's not Dr. Lindsay's house.
She's taking notes over here, like, okay, don't do that.
Don't leave that.
But sometimes you just gotta pivot and do some things that you wouldn't normally do, because that was the situation. So we got her done, got her sold, got her moved. She's happy. So
good. Never a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
So making your clients happy, how do you help them stay away from falling in love? Is there something that you do to help resolve those stressors? You're saying that was a common stressor. Is make sure they stay happy, don't fall in love with the house too soon, preparing them for, I don't want to say the negative side that could happen, the outcome that might not be what they hope for it. Is there a way that you go about that with your clients?
Yeah, I think it's just helping people emotionally manage the situation and helping them understand that, in the 8 years I've been doing this, I've never ever had a client lose a house and not find the one that they like better. It's never happened. Okay, so
important.
Yeah, and it's hard to see that. And then I also remind them that we're also looking to have a good investment for you. So I just always focus on the positives, and while acknowledging how they're feeling. I'm not trying to be Pollyanna, like your feelings aren't valid. They are.
Right.
At the same time, helping them just focus on what are the positives here, and what's, what can we control.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's and when we went through our process with you, there was a lot of, like you mentioned earlier, active listening on your part, and we're very kind of particular. We're easygoing, but it's like once you understood what we wanted.
Everyone is particular about a house. You're supposed to be. It's okay.
This is it, and this is
okay.
That's good, because I have a list of mine a lot.
I hear people say all the time, "Well, I think I'm being too picky." Like if you want, if you got $50,000 to spend and you want granite countertops, okay, that's being too picky. But when you're reasonable and there's certain things you want that are important to you, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that.
And that was exactly what I was going to say, because there would be times where maybe we'd send you listings or and you would literally say, well, I didn't send you that for a reason. Yeah. There's this and this.
I've got that text back too.
I'm not letting you settle, or it's just not the right position for us, your client at the time. It's just for any client, you're very much like that. It's not the position you wanted to be in, and that's not a position I'm going to let you put yourself in. And so you literally listening to what it is we wanted and not letting us settle was huge, because then we ended up with what we wanted. If we said, if we're going to be in town, it needs 3-car garage. Ended up being double deep. We needed a lot for the dogs. It ended up right at
You're
3/4 an acre.
I think you're close to half an acre.
Yeah, I think we're between. I think it's like 0.68 acres.
Yeah.
So almost 3/4 of an acre, and it worked out perfect. And had we had settled, but again, we found the one that we liked more, and you very much advocated for us, like you do everybody. But now, let me kind of shift this a little bit, because you said we're going to kind of move from real estate, because I want to talk more about Angie, because you fired off at the very, very beginning when you kind of said your creative story is she said you wanted your success to be on your own head, your own mind, your own brain. So getting away from what you do, why and how do you operate? What goes through Angie's head when she wakes up in the morning, when she used to go to sleep? Like, why do you operate that way? What are your values? Where does Angie come from? What's Angie's come from?
It's about potential, and what's my potential and being the best. How can I be the most excellent at what I do? How can I create the most excellent experience for my clients, for the people who honor me with their business? And I just love the fact that I get to make those choices, and nobody can limit how I do something. You know what I mean? There's nobody else that can say, you want your standards up here, but this is where our standard. No.
Yeah.
No. So I love that. I love that I get to make those choices, and as my business grows, I get to bring other people into my business too. And I have a virtual assistant. Her name's Dell. She's amazing. She's in the Philippines, and she totally gets me. She puts up with me, and I get to pay her, and she takes things off my plate that I'm not really good at or just don't really want to do, and it blesses her with a good income. So that's awesome. It's awesome to be able to do that, and as I continue to grow, then I'll be able to do more of that. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And that's
And I get to give more money away.
Yeah, see?
Which I like that a
And
lot.
something that you and I talk about a lot as we continue to grow and regrow, as we've made the shift here, and what a lot of people, and you very much display a heart, and I love your confidence in this. I've learned a lot of this from you, believe it or not. I try to channel my inner Angie Harness, and that confidence, just the confidence of like, this is how I operate, this is why I do what I do, because at the end of the day, there's going to be haters, but you can do more with more.
100%.
And you're going to attract to you what you need and want around you, and much like you and I operate, but we're going to respect those. We're going to respect everybody. And just because we don't align with each other, at the end of the day, I know if I continue to give the excellent experience, achieve that performance, and make more, I can do more. I can give more away. I can operate at that higher echelon. I can give people, by way of that, hope and the fact that I can set myself a bar that people can look up to. And you very much do that. I don't know if you realize how much you do that, but you do it in such a great way that's very inspiring and very, you are very much a magnet to a lot of people would say women at this point, but that's not the entire truth. I think there's a lot of people that you might not know that should probably call and tell Angie that you appreciate her, because I think there's so many people that you have affected that you don't even know because of how it's like, this is what I'm here to do, this is what I want to do, this is what I stand for, and this is what I'm going to help others do and bless other people with.
100%.
I know that standpoint from you, and I really enjoy that.
When you were telling, remind me. So it's there's a lot of. I'm drinking Keller Kool-Aid. I love it. It's delicious. But there's it's just the training and the mindset that they provide us is amazing. Such opportunity. But there's a bold law, and it's be, do, achieve. So that's one of my favorites. So if you whatever you want to achieve, you have to start being that person today, and
That's
working
true.
on yourself. And the more you work on yourself, and the more you're going to grow, and the more you're going to be successful, or whatever success looks like to you. Whatever, it's different for everyone. My daughter stays home with my 3 grandchildren and works from home, and that's aligned for her. That's makes her happy, and that's amazing. And I have 3 grandchildren who are doing wonderful in life because she's made that choice. So it's really whatever it looks like for you. It's amazing.
I think that really radiates off you when you find what's right for you and you're able to be your best version of yourself. That really, I think that shows through
Exactly.
in everything you do.
Exactly. Well, and I think that, you talked about growing and earning more money, or kind of touched on it. And I think that's a message that needs to get out there more and more. It's okay. It's okay to make a lot of money. Money is good for the good it can do. It's okay to not make a lot of money. It's just whatever you want, go out there and get after it, whatever it is. And it's not everything. Obviously, if you're sacrificing your health and your family, and then it's not worth it. But if it's like you said, aligned for you, then there's nothing wrong with it at all. And you can give more away.
Right. Absolutely. And it's the be, do, achieve is, I'm glad you said that. And I think that aligns a lot with us as we've started to really figure out, what the hell are we doing here? Like, why are we here? Why is this here? Why
What's
are
your
we in
mission?
alignment with you? And the be, do, achieve, I think, is very important for a lot of people to dive into, because you can be whatever you want to be, and you don't have to let anybody tell you different. Whatever you want to achieve, do. Start to be that person. But guess what? You have to do the work.
You do.
And you don't get to just be and achieve.
Yep.
You have to be into, and that's something we hear all the time is, well, I want to be doing this and I have this going on, but I don't know, I'm not going to take care of myself. It's like, no. We are here to be a resource. You still have to do the work. You know, you want to sell your house. Well, we can do that. I'd love to do that for you. Here's some things, like if you want to achieve this price point and you want to, be selling your house, then you have to do this to get there.
Exactly.
So
right.
you can use that in so many different ways and factors and kind of shape it. But, you are never off a podcast, off a book. You're always engaging into some sort of mental aspect
100%.
of growth. Why?
Well, here's the thing. You gotta. Why am I?
Yeah. Why do you do that? Like, why? Like.
Because the first 25 years of my life were pretty messed up in a lot of ways, and I'm not going to go into details, but my childhood was a lot of crappiness. And you got to counteract that. You got to counterbalance it. And nobody's going to come and, the people that hurt you are not going to come fix it.
Right.
It doesn't work that way.
You can't change the past, but you can change the future.
And you're the one that has to take responsibility for it. My favorite quote, or one of my favorite quotes, is by Brian Clemmer from a little book called "If How-Tos Were Enough, we would all be skinny, rich, and happy." Or I might be butchering it, but Brian Clemmer, little book. But he says, take responsibility for everything in your life. Not because it's your fault, but because of the possibilities it opens up. And I butchered that a little bit. But I love that because you have to, whatever you've experienced or been through, no one else is going to fix it. Other people will help you fix it, but you have to take ownership of it. So whatever that thing is that's in your way, you're going to have to deal with it. I mean, you can sit and whine and cry and play victim, go for it, but it's not going to help you. You have to, at some point, go ahead and cry for a minute. I don't mean literally a minute, but then you go do it. Go figure it out. Go hire a therapist. Go hire a coach or read a book. Fill your mind with positive things. But you've got to, our brain is
We're going to start this whole thing over. This is what we came here for today. This is what I had envisioned.
That's too funny. Well, I mean, our brain is like, think of it like it's the greatest supercomputer in the world. And, if you get some bad wiring put in there, then you go in and you start working on it and fix it and keep after it and don't give up. Don't give up.
Here's my one-liner. You ready? Or here's my analogy. I warn everybody all the time, every episode, everything we do. I live my life on one-liners and analogies. And you just said our brain's a supercomputer, and sometimes there's bad wiring, so fix it. So it's kind of the easier analogy that I use a lot is it's like a bag of oranges, or you put the oranges in the drawer of the fridge, and you put a moldy one in there. What happens to all the ones around it?
They're all gonna get bad.
So what are you gonna do? Keep freaking dumping new oranges on top of the bad ones?
No.
No. It's like remove the moldy stuff. Clean the tray, refill the bucket.
Yep.
So what is yours? Because I know you're a book and podcast person. A lot of people are. This is going to be the best one day.
100%.
I don't know how. What are you actively listening to, reading today?
Ed Milet. I am like freebasing Ed Milet right now. And I've never done that actual thing that whatever that exactly is. But yeah, Ed Milet. I love his podcast. I'm listening. It's so positive, and it's a lot of meat and potatoes and just good stuff. And I'm also listening to his new book on Audible. It's fantastic. So getting a lot out of that. But I'm always listening to I'm also listening to the Shift book, which is a Keller Williams book because the market is shifting. I flip flop back and forth between different things, but I'm always always listening to something, either a podcast or some book that I'm gonna learn something from. It's gotta, I want to learn something, and I want something that's going to provoke some thought that's going to help me grow and help me really just be a better person.
So you're not just like reading 55 Shades of Grey.
I've never read that. I have, and I'm actually not interested in reading it. So, no offense to anybody who has. I have friends who have read it and they loved it and they enjoyed it. Great. I just don't.
Point being, though, like if you want to be as successful with people and in life and business and relationships as Angie, it is very important to work on yourself and take care of yourself.
Always be growing.
Yeah.
If you were to,
yes.
100%.
Till you take your last breath.
Right.
Like never stop.
You don't use it, you lose it. You stop, you're done. I mean, that's it. I mean,
Yeah, you're growing or you're dying. It's one of the two.
if you were going to go back, do you have like a go-to book? Or if I said you need to go back and read one from your library next week, which one do you start? Like you can
Bible.
read one book. You got me. Okay, outside
Oh,
of the
I mean, honestly, best self-help book
Love.
ever written. I mean, really. I mean, you know, when you dig in.
Do you
I
have a
probably
go-to
don't.
book in the Bible?
I really like James a lot, but I haven't read enough to give you like
I guess it also kind of depends on like the day, like whether it's
Yeah.
uplifting or
What you're
teaching or
looking
giving,
for.
Yeah.
or like you can really.
I like James a lot. I also just recently got turned on to that's probably not the right thing to say.
We knew what you meant, and we're not going to cut it out.
That's funny. Proverbs 31 about like how to be like an awesome woman, which it doesn't actually say that in the Bible, but yeah, that's pretty cool too. So
Do you have like a favorite devotion book or anything like that? Do you do that?
I do devotions
While reading.
I've liked Jesus Calling. There's another T.D. Jakes has one. Woman something something is really good. Love T.D. Jakes. He's cool. Yeah, just different ones. Whatever kind of. Sometimes I just get led to something. I recently got led to this whole Proverbs 31, and I can't think of the name of the lady. And I'm supposed to start her program, which I haven't done it yet because there's a lot of stuff involved.
You and I are so much alike. It's
I
like,
know.
you know what? I align with you. I don't care what your name is. You have what I want. Give it to me. I'm on it.
I know.
Like, let's go.
Like, I can't think of your
What's
name.
it called? I don't know, but it does what I
She's
need
like
it to do.
She's a pretty brunette. Like I can't anyway.
Were you looking in the mirror? Is that what you were doing?
No, it
Oh.
wasn't me. Thank you, but no, it wasn't me. Yeah, it just kind of depends on whatever I need at the moment. And yeah, I listen to Joyce Meyer a lot. I listen to her podcast in the morning. So I make my own mineral water with my soda stream in the morning. So while I'm doing that, I listen to Joyce Meyer.
Love that.
She's a hoot.
So as we kind of head into our descent here, yes, you're a real estate agent, and you are an awesome real estate agent. I have somebody to connect you with, actually.
Oh,
So
sure.
don't
Awesome.
leave without me doing that for you today. But you mentioned the Child Advocacy Center.
Yes.
You are huge in this on the board. We like to help out when we can or when you need something. And if you need something else, you let us know. But I want you to talk real quick about the Child Advocacy Center.
Yes. So for those of you who don't know, the Child Advocacy Center of Northeast Missouri is located in Wentzville. That's their main office. They also have an office in Hannibal and then a satellite office in Memphis. What they do a few different things, but to start with is forensic interviewing of children of alleged abuse. Most of the children who come through there are victims of sexual abuse. And the reason that's so important is that it gives that child the opportunity, one, to tell their story in a safe environment, kid-friendly environment, tell that story one time without having to repeat it to many different adults.
Super important.
Police, detectives, children's division, and then be re-traumatized over and over again for the retelling. Does it mean they won't go to court and maybe testify? They might. If it and plug to St. Charles County prosecuting attorney and their team, Tim Lomar and his team. They do a fantastic job of prosecuting sex crimes against kids. So
Awesome.
Little plug there. Anyway, yes, yeah, we love that, right?
Yeah.
And in this Child Advocacy Center, it serves 14 counties in the state. So they do that. They also do prevention education. They go in the schools and they teach kids how to keep themselves safe. One of my favorite stories, a little girl, 7 years old, grandfather was attempting to abuse her. And she had been through prevention education and she was able to yell and she got away from him and kept herself safe. And when they interviewed her later, she said the pretty ladies taught her what to do. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Oh, that's sweet.
I know, it's awesome. But yeah, so that's a positive. And there's no telling how many kids are kept safe because you can't prove a negative because they had some education, which is wonderful. And they also do therapy. Every child that needs therapy has the opportunity to go to therapy, and it costs them nothing to go. Somebody has to get them there. So one of the things, there's something that needs to be done at the state level. Children's Division is so short. I think they have only 3 or 4 people manning the phones right now. They're so short, and I think they're supposed to have 15 or 18.
Oh,
Please
wow.
don't quote me on the numbers, but they're so short staffed. So
We're not
kids
short by a couple. We're short by.
So they're getting hotline calls in, and kids aren't getting seen. So, yes, can you imagine you're a child, you're being abused, call gets hotline, and nobody's coming to help. And it's not the caseworker's fault. They're
Right.
understaffed so badly. Part of it is their pay is really low, and it's very hard,
Right.
hard to convince people to go do this job that is super stressful and make like what $35,000 a year. I honestly don't know what they make, but it's
Sure.
not a lot.
Yeah.
So that's a big problem. Any legislators out there that might happen to stumble across this, you got to figure this out because it's not okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a great program, foundation, everything about that is good, especially in a time like now. There's more eyes opening to other things as far as the trafficking thing, and this kind of aligns right inside of that.
That's another thing that they're
And-
involved with as well.
Yep. And so you being on the board of that and being the person you are, there's either connect with us, connect with Angie, or somehow we will get anybody in touch who has a heart for this. If you ever wonder where to donate to, like anytime you want to, I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to. Anytime you want to add $1 to that for this foundation, stick that in your pocket, give it to Angie, let it go to the Child Advocacy Center, because you know exactly where that money is going to go and what it's going to provide.
Exactly right. And you can actually just go online to the Child Advocacy Center of Northeast Missouri, and there's a donate button. You can donate. We have events that you can get involved with as well. So it's very, very easy to do that. You could, go set up a $10 a month recurring donation. Those, that little bit goes a long way. You get 1,000 people doing that. That's amazing, right? That goes a long way.
Well, a couple more minutes here. How does, I'm going to switch back. I like to go, I'm like a pinball machine on this sucker.
You are.
But we're going to get everything across we need to get
It's
across.
the ADD crew here.
I know. Just get it. And go to the racetrack after this and we'll get it all out. So how does somebody start working with you? What does that look like in a couple minutes here as we wrap up? Like how do we get a hold of you? What can they expect from you right off the bat? How does that work?
Yeah, well, first it just starts with a conversation. So call me, 636-856-6485, and let's just have a conversation. One of my greatest wishes, and as far as my business goes, if people would call me before they need to call me.
Yeah.
Let's start that conversation early, and so we can do a really solid needs analysis, develop our strategy for whatever it is that you need, whether you're selling, buying, both, investing, doesn't matter, but let's have that conversation early so that we can really plan and figure out what's really going to be best for you. The more, just having that time to plan is very valuable.
Yeah. Perfect. We've got all of your contact information. I love what you do, how you do it, the people and resources you have to help you do it. That's why your process and your experience is very much different. I can speak from actually doing it. Dr. Lindsay's kind of going through it now,
Yep.
but the people you utilize and you stay with what you're good at, and you've built a very good team around you to have resources around you to continue to drive that experience high and make things as easy as possible, which is super great. So with that being said, anything you want anybody to know?
Well, along
Give us some
with what
wisdom.
you just said, is one of the best things you can do for yourself is really understand what you're good at and understand what you're not so great at. I mean, I can make myself do a lot of things that are not my natural, but isn't it better if I bless someone else who's actually naturally talented with that and hire them to go do it? Because then we're going to have a better experience. So knowing what you're not good at and being willing to let that go, throw your ego in the garbage and let go of the things you're not that great at.
We deal with
You'll
that.
be a lot happier too.
We deal with that every day. Be good at it. Make great decisions. Advocate for yourself. Take the action. Stop thinking that there is, start thinking more value, not so much price or how much time. Like start valuing yourself, your things, what it is you want. And that really ties into into everybody's life. It's like stop looking at the price and start looking at the value. Start doing it early, not when you need it. Start really planning for those things going forward.
And do you want it your way or do you want it the best way?
Right.
I want it the best way.
Yeah.
So whoever's going to make it happen the best, then that's what I want. Doesn't need to be me.
And I'm willing
Just
to
has to
put
be the
my
best.
ego and my stuff to the side to get the best.
Yeah,
To
100%.
have the best outcome. 100%.
Awesome.
All right. Well, another edition of the Vital Wire in the books. We're glad you're here. Thanks for coming.
Thank you
Thanks,
for having
Angie.
me. This was fun.
Here we go. See ya.